Chamber has hosted candidate forums for nearly 40 years, and we are pleased today to provide a forum for our state candidates in Senate District 20 and House Districts 27 and 29. As an organization, we strive to provide programming and events that educate and engage our community. We hope today accomplishes both for you. We are lucky enough to have a very talented moderator joining us today. It is my pleasure to introduce and welcome back Jim Sidlicki. Jim is the Director of Public Information for Adams County. His background includes more than 2 decades as a journalist, including 15 years as a television news anchor. Jim and his wife, Kim, live in Thornton with their 3 children, which I just found out are 2 years ahead of all my 3 kids. That's funny, Jim. Jim has graciously hosted our candidate forums for almost 5 years, always offering a lively and fair conversation. Please join me in welcoming Jim forward to get us started today.
Well, first I want to thank the Arvada Chamber for having me back. Hopefully you won't hold the Thornton thing against me. I tried to get over here, I promise, 4.5 years ago. It is always a great time, and breakfast with friends on a Friday morning is a good way to start the weekend. I want to thank everyone for joining us, as well, and especially the candidates for Senate District 20 and House Districts 27 and 29. Always my pleasure to serve as a moderator for these forums. Before we begin, I want to go over a little background and review the format of today's event. The Arvada Chamber of Commerce is committed to hosting a forum that allows the candidates the opportunity to share their perspective in a very fair and open environment. This morning, each candidate will offer a 5-minute opening statement, followed by a series of questions that will be asked to all candidates. Finally, the candidates will have 90 seconds to make closing remarks. We'll notify candidates by holding up signs from the table right in front. Cammie will display what those look like right there. So you'll have a good indication that your time is almost up, and when your time is up, I'll make sure and approach the stage to give you that final notice. We have a lot to cover today, so we appreciate candidates respecting the time parameters. In addition, as an audience, we ask that you are respectful of all of the candidates' perspectives and that you do not make comments, boos, or cheers around any of their comments. Let's get started with 5-minute opening remarks. And to begin, House District 29, Tracy Kraft Tharp. Tracy? I just wanted to clear the stairs for you. That's what we want.
Good morning. Good morning. So I want to say a special thank you to the Arvada Chamber, the Government Affairs Committee for hosting this and putting this on. This is very important. I want to say thank you very much to my mom and dad, who are here from Minnesota, who came in this weekend, along with some family members that are joining us to help with that campaign. My husband, Vern, my campaign staff, Riley Meyer, and my friends who have joined me, so thank you very much. I want to say a special thoughts that we can send out to my opponent, Grady Newis, who is not here today, because his daughter is ill, and I think there'll be a statement read by him. And I'm especially sorry that he's not here, because I've met him twice, so was looking forward to hearing from him and hearing what he had to say in terms of being able to give to Colorado. But I think it's always difficult when you're running a campaign and you have family illnesses. It really puts you in a real struggle, so if we could send our thoughts out to him. So I'm Tracy Kraft Tharp. I'm the state representative in House District 29, which is North and East Arvada, the Jefferson County part of Westminster. And I am running for re-election for my 4th term. And I have deep roots in this community. I have, prior to being in the legislature, I worked for Family Tree. I ran the Battered Women's Shelter. I ran the Adolescent Crisis Shelter. I had my own small business, actually for 15 years, helping nonprofits and small businesses build their capacity. I've been involved in this chamber as a member for about 8 years, and am currently involved in the Government Affairs Committee. Served on a number of City of Arvada committees, including the Human Resources Committee for 10 years, and then they said, okay, that's enough. And the Citizens Capital Recommendation Committee. So I've worked in this community a long time. Since being in the legislature, I've had 3 guiding principles, 3 commitments that I have made to you all. One is, I will be accessible. I have demonstrated that through my monthly town meetings, which you all have to hear about every month when I come here to this breakfast. I do monthly community coffees. I do monthly newsletters. My House District 29 Day at the Capitol is a pretty popular event. I go to back to school nights, HOAs. I try to be where you are, to be accessible. Number 2, I made a commitment that I will not play partisan politics. I will work with whoever wants to work with me, and my record has demonstrated that. This year I have been endorsed by organizations on the very far left to organizations on the very far right. And in fact, this last week, I received the endorsement from our State Chamber of Commerce, Casey. And that is a privileged and very rare endorsement, and I'm absolutely honored to be able to receive that. My third commitment, my third guiding principle as a legislator representing you all is I don't go down to the legislature to talk. I go down there to get things done. And my record shows that. I have a passage record close to 90%. Actually, this last year it has been 84% because I had some bills that didn't quite make it through. But you could see that I'm somebody that pulls people together, we find common ground, and we get things done. I'm the legislator that implemented the statewide mental health crisis system, helping people across the state who are in a crisis. I'm the legislator who passed and who implemented the streamlining sales and use tax system, one of the most convoluted, complicated tax systems in this country, and we're looking at simplifying that for our businesses. I'm the legislator that passed the Rehire Colorado, made that into a permanent program, helping those people, veterans, who are having the most difficult time finding jobs, providing consultation and training to be able to get them jobs. 79% success rate. So I'm the legislator that goes down there and gets things done. I'm Tracy Kraft-Tharp. I'm running for re-election for my 4th term. I'm asking for your support. Thank you.
And she left 30 seconds on the table. Thank you for that. As Tracy mentioned, Grady sent in a statement and asked that I read it on his behalf. Dear attendees of the Arvada Chamber of Commerce State Election Forum, unfortunately, as of right now, my family finds itself surrounded by a handful of doctors. We have spent the last 4 days taking care of my 21-month-old daughter. Through the multi-day evaluation, I made the tough decision to stay at the Aurora Children's Hospital this morning. I apologize for any inconvenience that my absence this morning may have caused. Please allow me just a moment to share with you a little about myself. I hold a degree in marketing from the Herberger School of Business at St. Cloud State University in Minnesota. My wife Kelly and I moved to Westminster in 2012, where I have expanded my concert quality laser light show business. Here in Westminster, my wife also successfully operates her own furniture restoration business. My company, Amazing Lasers LLC, has been fortunate enough to provide extensive laser light services to worldwide clients, artists, and promoters. I've had the opportunity to provide shows at venues such as Red Rocks Amphitheater, Sports Authority Field, the Pepsi Center, and First Bank Center. With my experience working in a highly regulated industry, specifically the FDA and FAA, adhering to stringent budgets and adapting to on-site concerns of my clients will make me a great voice for small business here in Jefferson County. Policy-wise, I hope you remember these 3 important statements. First, I have taken the Colorado Union of Taxpayers pledge to not vote for any tax or fee increase. All votes with taxation or fees belong to those paying into the system. Second, I am not in favor of any tax increases or toll roads to fix our current transportation or infrastructure needs. I would never support a 20-year, 21% sales tax increase to fund transportation. Third, I will always support your right to educational freedom. In a society that thrives on free markets, I believe the most effective tool one can use to boost educational performance is through direct competition. Thank you to the Arvada Chamber of Commerce for the invitation to this event. I hope to meet all of you along the campaign trail. If you have any questions, please visit my website, gradyforhouse.com. I hope to earn your support going into November. Thank you for your time, Grady Newis. So that's his statement. Again, it is gradyforhouse.com. So we'll continue with the proceedings and the opening statements at this point and change our focus to Senate District 20 and Jesse Danielson. Jesse?
Good morning, everybody. How you doing this morning? Good. I like it when I get a first response. It means you've had some coffee this morning. My kind of crowd. My name is Jessie Danielson. I serve as the Speaker Pro Tem in the House of Representatives, and I represent House District 24 in Jefferson County. I'm running for Senate District 20, and I would certainly love your support, and thank you so much for your time this morning. I have had the privilege of getting to know quite a few of you over the years, and it's been my honor to work alongside the Chamber of Commerce. And thank you so much for what you do for our community. It's been my privilege. For those of you who don't know me, though, I wanted to say a little bit about myself. My husband and my one-year-old daughter live with me in Wheat Ridge, and where I'm a multi-generational family of Wheat Ridge farmers and proud Jefferson County roots. But I grew up on a farm in northeastern Weld County, and so coming from that side of my family, have deep roots in the state as well. At the legislature, I've worked hard for the people of Jefferson County and have been able to pass some really good policies for the folks who live here. As you know, the state of Colorado is aging more rapidly than the rest of the country, and Jefferson County and this area of Colorado is aging more rapidly than the rest of the state. And it's just because we happen to have picked the most fabulous place in the country to live. People want to stay here. But part of what I've done is focused on working with senior citizens so that they're able to live in their homes independently as long as possible. I've been able to pass measures that protect seniors, like fighting financial abuse and elder abuse, and will continue to work with the community to make sure to continue to do that. There's also 41,000 veterans that live in Jefferson County in our area, and so I've been able to work with the veterans community to make sure to cut red tape so that veterans have the right opportunities to get education and jobs that they deserve. So a couple of years ago, I carried a bill that guaranteed veterans could translate their service into college credit when they're coming back into civilian life to seek the good paying jobs that they deserve. And just this last year was able to partner with the United Veterans Committee to pass a tax cut on military retirees. So this would benefit people who are under the age of 55. You may not know this, but the average age of a military retiree is 38. These folks aren't done working. We want to keep that skilled workforce right here in Colorado, and it was a meaningful way to say thank you for your service. I've also worked on conservation measures. You might recognize one of my bills to promote water conservation, which of course is a huge concern for the community, by legalizing rain barrels. And although it wasn't the end-all be-all solution to our problem, it just demonstrates my commitment to work with the community on common sense measures to protect our clean air and water for the coming generations. I've worked with your group and other business groups across the state on measures to promote equal pay for equal work, to make sure that folks are getting paid what they earn. And it's been, again, my privilege to work in concert with the business community on measures like that, and also I passed a bill to fight wage theft. So, as your state senator next year, I look forward to again partnering with your organization to promote good businesses, to provide the jobs that the state needs. And I look forward to visiting with you along the campaign trail and the questions that we'll get later today. And again, thank you so much for hosting us this morning. My name is Jessie Danielson, and I'm running for Senate District 20.
We'll stay in the District 20 race. Next up is Christine Jensen.
Well, good morning to my friends. It is good to be with you again today. It's, I have to admit, a little surreal to be on this side of the microphone after serving for so long in this role, moderating and hosting this and emceeing this event for many, many years. But it really has been my privilege to serve you here in Arvada over the last several years, not only chairing the Government Affairs Committee for the Arvada Chamber of Commerce, but in a former role as the leadership, the chairman of the board of the Arvada Chamber of Commerce. You know, I grew up in Wheat Ridge and was born and raised there. Arvada has been home for me and my family for so many years, and it really is an absolute honor to serve among the community where you grew up, where I've developed a business and have become a job creator and an employer here in our community. I've spent 25 years working as a small business operator. I know what it means not to simply sign the back of a paycheck, but to sign the front of a paycheck as well. With budgeting and management knowledge, I will bring business sense down to the Capitol. You know, it was not too many years ago that the Arvada Chamber of Commerce found itself in a position of concern and worry. It was about 20 years ago, and many of you in this room remember that time frame. There were a group of us that got together and decided, no, we cannot let the Arvada Chamber of Commerce fail. So we banded together, we worked hard, and we made sure that the Chamber of Commerce went on a new trajectory. We are so proud of the new leadership that has come behind us and has made sure that this trajectory that the Chamber has been on for so many years is not only thriving, but excelling. The Arvada Chamber of Commerce now is one of the strongest chambers in the region. In that role, we also decided that the advocacy function was a critical piece of what the Arvada Chamber of Commerce ought to be about, advocating not only for business owners, but for families and for our community as well. In that advocacy role, we also joined a coalition of Jefferson County chambers, the Jefferson County Business Lobby, and it's been my privilege to serve in that role as the Arvada Chamber's appointee for so many years. It was in that role that took me down to the Capitol over and over again, making sure that our elected officials realized that the choices, that the decisions that they were making were definitely going to have an impact on Colorado businesses, Colorado families, and those of us here in Jefferson County. And as a member of the Colorado Senate, I will take that mindset back to the Capitol. If we put partisan differences aside and come together, we can indeed make Colorado the envy of the rest of the nation. Throughout my time here in Jefferson County, I've had a number of different roles, but the most important role that I play is that to 4 incredible children and 4 amazing grandchildren, and I think you got to see a few of them on your way in this morning. They are the light of my life. I'm running for the Colorado State Senate because I'm deeply concerned that the Colorado that my children and grandchildren and your children and grandchildren will inherit is vastly different than the one that we grew up with. While Colorado is the home to many of my favorite memories and greatest successes, I am indeed concerned about what the future holds. We have a rapidly growing state budget. In fact, over the past 20 years, our state budget has tripled while our population has grown about 50%. And that's something that business people understand, and it's something that we need to work very, very hard to ensure that it doesn't explode out of control. We have the burden of a growing government that too often places the burden on the backs of taxpayers and families. We need to stand up to those that would seek to increase our taxes over and over again. We need to protect our businesses from overregulation and government overreach, and we need to create an environment that doesn't stifle innovation and allows our businesses to continue to grow and to create more and more opportunities here in Jefferson County. Traffic congestion and deteriorating roads have an adverse impact on commerce. I believe that Colorado is the land of opportunity, the opportunity for individual achievement and the ability to provide a safe, prosperous future for our children. Let's find a way to put partisan politics aside, work together, and ensure that Colorado, and especially Jefferson County, continues to remain a great place to live, work, and raise a family. My name is Christine Jensen. I am your candidate for State Senate District 20. Thank you.
All right, so we have a slight change in the batting order. Just want to give everyone a heads up that Vicki Pine is doing everything she can to get here. So we'll move to House District 27, Brianna Titone.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here and the opportunity to speak, and thank you to Cami and the Chamber. My name is Brianna Titone, and I'm running for House District 27, and I want to represent you in the Capitol. I've always had my heart with volunteerism and the community. When I lived in New York, I started my long history of service to the community as a volunteer firefighter. I joined my town's department as a junior firefighter at age 16. I had 2 years before I could legally go into a burning building and, as we say, put the wet stuff on the red stuff. So I went around the county taking every training class that I could. I wanted to be knowledgeable and ready for day one when I was able to work with the firefighters. I realized the power of community on a very cold Saturday morning in January 1996. I was about 3 weeks away from turning 18 and having the ability to participate in firefighting activities when I got a call for a structure fire at an Apple storage warehouse. We arrived at the scene seeing flames, and we immediately sprung into action, grabbing hose lines, grabbing ladders, getting the air packs ready, getting the firefighters ready to go. The fire was difficult to put out, so we called in for mutual aid. Fire departments from all over the county and neighboring counties came to help us. That is what community is all about, coming together to solve a problem. Each department had their own set of procedures and standards, but we all took the lead from the district chief, and we all had a common goal. This is how I envisioned the legislature. After grad school, having earned degrees in physics, geology, and geochemistry, I worked as a consultant in the mining industry and honed my problem-solving skills. I had led and instructed project teams all over the western states and the world, working with different cultures, languages, personalities, and we were all able to collaboratively and effectively get results. I was often considered an outsider at first, but after working alongside them in the harsh conditions, they learned to trust me and respect me and welcomed me into the team. I expected a lot from them, but I also gave a lot of the same effort in return. I want to bring this kind of leadership to the Capitol. One of the areas we need to work on is education. As a result of severe lack of funding, Colorado ranks in the bottom 20% in U.S. education. Competitive teacher wages are 50th, and our school systems are short 3,000 teachers. And the teachers that we do have are shamefully underpaid. Young Coloradans are the future of the state's economy, so why don't we treat them that way? Another major area of concern is transportation. As population has boomed, I'm sure we're very aware of the congestion problems that have resulted. Yet transportation budget increases only 31% in that time. And despite that, the fact that research has shown consistently infrastructure investment reaps economic gains, and failure to invest costs the taxpayers money. Meanwhile, skyrocketing healthcare costs, squeezing the middle-class families even further. Many are one health emergency away from not being able to pay their bills. Some people stay with their jobs just for the benefits, even though they may not like that job. We can protect liberty and we can protect our personal liberty by guaranteeing affordable housing and livable wages that works for every Coloradan. We can find a sustainable balance between businesses and workers. We can fight for school funding increases and remove barriers to teacher hiring and giving our children the chance that they deserve. There's no denying that the problems impacting the lives of Coloradans are more complex than ever. That's why I'm committed to an approach that is diverse, inclusive, and intersectional, no matter what our political affiliations. Together, we can move the needle of change. It's going to take hard conversations, a studious and determined look at the facts, and an investment in the faith in each other and the system. Coloradans are proud of our state and our resources and our people. Let's add one more thing to be proud of: pride in coming together to chart a better future for ourselves and the next generations. My name is Brianna Titone, and I want to be your representative in House District 27. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brianna, and all of our candidates. Great to hear all the passion and the willingness to put yourself out there and commit to the betterment of Colorado. Next up, we're going to invite candidates to the stage from their districts, and we're going to ask a few questions. We will begin with Tracy Kraft Tharp. Now, if a candidate has an opponent who is present, we'll of course have two people at the table. Unfortunately, Grady couldn't be with us, so you and I will sit at the cocktail table and have some conversations. Come on up, Tracy. Come on. We'll just have a little more room this time. There you are. Move this.
Which chair do you want?
I'll sit over here. We'll leave that awkward middle seat like we're going to the movies and we're not dating.
Especially when my husband is sitting
That is
right
really
there.
a good idea.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. And he's recording the whole thing.
And he is.
Okay, so 60 seconds to answer each of these three questions. We'll get into a fire round in a moment, Tracy. Let's begin here. How would you implement oversight and cost-saving measures to ensure that there's efficient use of state dollars towards transportation?
Okay, this is the question I did not want. Let me just say that right up front. Because our system, we have to remember that in the United States we have balance of power. We have a legislative section, we have executive branch, and we have the judiciary branch, okay? So as the legislative branch, we provide oversight and cost-saving mechanisms to the executive branch through our committee structure. We have a transportation committee that provides oversight and works pretty closely with the department. But transportation is also a system where it really is bottom, locality up. So we have a lot of local committee structures that provide the priorities for how we fund our transportation, and that they feed that information to the Department of Transportation.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to the second. A growing number of Front Range residents are being priced out of the housing market due to a lack of attainable, affordable housing. Given the vital role that home ownership fulfills in creating personal and community equity, what legislative activities can we do to support a resolution to the situation that we have in Colorado right now?
So, number one, I don't know if the legislature can provide the resolution or the fix. We need to remember that it's a marketplace issue. The good news is that the marketplace has started to steady out, that for so long you would put your house on the market and you'd have 5 offers by noon. That's not the case anymore for the most part. So the market is starting to steady out. The legislature has provided policy resolutions to be able to guide our local municipalities. But it really is a local issue that the localities really do need to be looking at their permitting process, for example, the process that we're utilizing to become more efficient, more effective, and how fast that we are able to get things built. So that is a partnership. I actually have supported a number of bills towards this. I'm assuming I'm okay on time because you're not looking at me going, stop. So I have introduced bills that, number one, would provide an insurance product for developers and others.
Great. You were doing great.
I know, and then I said something else, and I used up all my time bantering.
Don't worry, I'll let you know if you're getting close.
Okay.
All right, you have been doing a lot of touring, obviously, and knocking on doors. No doubt you've heard a lot of people talk about the pride that they have in our community and perhaps even their schools. We want to know, what's the number one thing that you're hearing at doors that your constituents are asking for public education, and how do the policies that you support or legislation you would propose address the concerns or needs that you're hearing at doorsteps?
I wanted the sales tax question, so I don't suppose I could trade that in. Okay. So I walk doors year-round, every year. campaign years, non-campaign years, listening to folks. And the number one thing that I hear from people at the doors is education. However, what I hear about is education funding, that people are concerned that are we providing the resources that we need for our education system. Since I've been in the legislature, I've served 6 years, 3 terms, we have increased the per pupil ratio for students this last year by $475 per student. We have decreased the negative factor this year by $1.5 million. So the legislature really has invested in our education system. But it's not enough, because in 2008, when we hit the Great Recession, we had to make changes to the formula, which resulted in a $1 billion negative factor. So that is why the voters this year will need to look at our education system, look at the needs, and make a decision whether they want to fund our education system by what, I think it's $1.6 billion additional monies.
It's going to be a long ballot, so everyone needs to open their mail and sit down and read all the way through it this year, that's for sure. All right, let's move on to some fire round questions. In less than 3 sentences here, we're looking for bullets. Share the top 3 challenges you believe Colorado is facing.
With 90,000 new people moving into the state a year, growth is our number one issue. Infrastructure, and that includes broadband, transportation, education. And then third, water. Water, you can't forget water, which is the gold of Colorado.
Less than 3 sentences on this one too, if you wouldn't mind. Please share the top 3 challenges that are impacting the business community.
According to Colorado Succeed, 77% of businesses say they can't find employees with the skills that they need. So labor is number 1. Number 2, sales and use tax, most convoluted, complicated system in the country. We need to be streamlining that system. And number 3, we need to find the balance between being underregulated and overregulated. That we need to find the balance between public safety and putting the chains around businesses' necks, and we can find that balance.
What was the last book you read? Just the title.
So it's the Tom Friedman Acceleration book.
Okay. If elected, what one word best describes how you will engage your work?
Accessibility.
In less than 3 sentences, who is your role model and why? And I recall you mentioning your parents were here.
So I don't know why you said that. So this is the question that where you either say Eleanor Roosevelt or your mother.
Mom.
But my mother is in the room, okay? So I do want to say my mom and dad. So my mom and dad raised 5 children, 4 boys and a girl, myself. And during one of the times that I think that has some of the biggest transition in our history, I mean, computers, I mean, think about all the things that have changed, for crying out loud. But my mom and dad have trained me, number 1, you work hard. You work hard and to succeed. And that's a value that I have held and have tried to pass on.
Okay. I gave you a little bit of room on
I
that.
know.
I had to give you some runway.
And if I would not have picked my mom, I would have been in trouble after you said that.
Yeah, if you got on Eleanor Roosevelt, you've been okay too.
Right.
All right. Do you support more restrictions on oil and gas? This one I just need yes or no. More restrictions on oil and gas.
I'm not giving you the yes or no. If you, and I already explained to Cammie, if you're asking, do I agree with the 2,500 setbacks? No. Do I believe that there needs to be restrictions and there's some areas we need to work on more restrictions? Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tracy.
Okay.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to move into the middle seat now. Candidates for Senate District 20, Jesse Danielson and Christine Jensen, please join me up here, and we will ask you the same format, a few longer form questions, and then the fire round.
Taking the middle seat?
I will take the middle.
Okay.
I try. All right, Senate District 20, and we're going to go alphabetical, which means Jesse will get the first.
Okay.
Danielson before Jensen, I got that much. When it comes to the state budget, Medicaid is a large expense. Employers are reporting they're noticing employees are qualifying for Medicaid benefits by reducing the number of hours they're willing to work in order to keep under the income qualifications. Do you consider this to be an abuse of the system, or do you feel it's a role of the state of Colorado to monitor how Medicaid funds are being used?
Thank you. So I think that it is the role of the legislature to monitor the programs that we provide the families across the state, identify any kind of abuse and waste in the system, and then take care of it. And we've been doing that consistently for years. So I think the question here, though, is more about the families across the state and their ability to access health care right now. It is probably, to Tracy's question, Representative Kraft-Tharp, sorry, what do people say on the doors? That's what they're concerned about, being able to provide health care for their families. So while we are watchdogging the government programs that we provide and the assistance to the families who need it, we also need to be concerned about giving them the access to the proper health care that every family deserves.
And we will pose the same question to you, Christine. Go ahead and fire away on the Medicaid question.
Absolutely. So Medicaid was designed to be a safety net program. We have an obligation as a society to take care of the least of these, yes? I think you all would agree. Yet the rising cost of health care has mushroomed out of control. But Medicaid today now includes 45% of its rolls are able-bodied working adults, which is not the original design of the program. You know, the 26% of the state budget now is Medicaid, and the legislature has a moral obligation to oversee that program, to identify where abuses are happening, and find ways to transition folks off of Medicaid and onto a market-based healthcare approach.
Thank you very much, ladies. Let's stick with you this time, Christine. You'll get the first crack at this question. Which transportation ballot measure do you support and why? Initiative 167, which is Fix Our Damn Roads, use existing state revenues to fund $3.5 billion in bonds for road projects. Or the other, which is Initiative 153, raise the sales tax by 0.62% to fund $6 billion in road projects and bridge repairs. All right, Christine.
So let's contrast those two measures, okay? On one side, we can continue to come to the voters and ask them for tax increase after tax increase after tax increase. And once we start layering those tax increases on top of businesses and families, we eventually will break their backs. We need to be very mindful and do what we all do in our families and our businesses, and that is to live within our means. So I'm a supporter of Initiative 167 that will force the legislature to go back one more time to the drawing board and figure out a way to live within its means. You know, transportation is the lifeblood of what we do. It controls commerce. It not simply a matter of us sitting in traffic and you know, having additional traffic concerns, but it really is one of the basic functions of government. That's a primary obligation of our legislature, and we need to force them to do it.
Great, and we'll pose the same question to you, Representative Danielson.
Thank you. I am not supporting, I haven't taken a support position on Measure 167. And here's why, because what we've done in the legislature, we this last year, I'm sure you're familiar with the work that we did accomplish in the legislature for transportation. We designated $695 million in a one-time measure to start to solve the problem, and then we also committed $50 million ongoing from here. The legislature has done what they can, and now it's up to the voters to engage in the conversation. The problem with that initiative is that it decimates public education funding. But another reason that I'm not able to get on board with it is because there's no money going to local government and no money going to transit solutions, which I think should be part of any transportation ballot initiative. So like I said before, we have actually done a lot of work on your behalf inside of that gold dome to improve transportation across the state, and now it's time for the voters to engage and have their say at the polls.
All right, we'll leave the microphone there. You'll have the first crack at the final question here. The Arvada Chamber of Commerce recently surveyed their membership on their biggest challenges, and by overwhelming margins, we heard that finding a skilled workforce is of incredible concern. What do you believe the state legislature is doing or can do to support employers as we look for employees?
I think that this has already come up a few times today, and rightfully so. I hear from all sectors across the state. Like I said in my opening statements, I grew up on a farm in Weld County. So from agriculture to your old town businesses trying to function in the state, employers are complaining about finding a skilled workforce. So we have done a number of measures to promote workforce development in the state. You might remember some of the measures that we worked on in a very bipartisan way in the last few years to promote workforce development across Colorado. And then I mentioned a couple of the measures that I personally have carried to make sure that, for example, when veterans are transitioning into civilian life, that we're cutting the red tape to make sure that they can get the good paying jobs they deserve. So what I have already done in the legislature is work with business organizations, work with consumer organizations, and those that represent the workers across the state to find common sense solutions to support the businesses that we need across the state that provide those good paying jobs.
All right, Ms. Jensen, I'm sure that you have engaged this question many times.
A little bit, but you know what? I've got to take hats off to Cammie Welch right now. If there is anybody who has been a champion in our community on this issue, it is Cammie herself, nearly single-handedly, and she won't tell you that. She'll tell you that it's been a large group who's collaborated to make sure that we have the answers that we need for workforce readiness. And the answer is multi-pronged. It's making sure that we have substantive apprenticeship programs. It's making sure that our high school students know that not everyone is college bound. In fact, of my 4 children, 1 is college bound. The other 4, military, trade school, and the blue collar workforce, kind of like her mama. And so we need to recognize that not every solution works for every student, but we do need to equally prepare them to enter the workforce. And I know you all are struggling with the same kinds of things that we're struggling with in finding a workforce that's ready to take the jobs that we have for them when they graduate high school. So thank you, Cammie.
Ms. Jensen, we'll stay with you for the first round of the fire rounds. You get a softer stop for thinking.
Okay.
In less than 3 sentences, please share the top 3 challenges you believe Colorado is facing.
So we have been out canvassing for over a year. We have hit thousands and thousands of doors. We've been listening to the voters all around Senate District 20, and we're hearing the same kinds of themes over and over again. They want to see a trained and ready workforce with an education system that is truly devoted to our children, that ensures that the teachers are well paid and that our schools are funded well. So that's an obligation that we have. We need to make sure that we have a transportation system that gets us safely from point A to point B. And the rising cost of healthcare has to be corrected through a market-based system.
Okay. Fire round, so we're going to tighten it up a little bit, but we're going to also allow you a couple extra seconds here for the same question. 3 sentences, please share the top 3 challenges you believe Colorado is currently facing.
Thank you so much. While Colorado is in the right direction, most Coloradans feel good about the state we live in and are proud to be from where we all are. But public education, a quality, accessible public education for every kid should be a guaranteed right. Quality health care for each Jefferson County and Colorado family, and working to protect the clean air and environment that we love this state for, that is unique to our beautiful community and that we're so proud of.
All right, so now we're going to tighten it up a little bit for the next one. Less than 3 sentences, please share the top 3 challenges impacting the business community specifically.
Well, that one's easy. That's why I'm here today. I wouldn't assume to know what your challenges are without visiting with you first. So I would say I look to your organization and organizations like yours across the state to tell me what you need, and then I go to work on your behalf.
Same question.
I can tell you, because I am indeed an employer and a job creator, it is definitely overregulation that stifles the growth of earnings and wages and job creation. It's the rising cost of healthcare that is preventing us from hiring additional employees and ensuring that we have a workforce that is ready, willing, and able to take the jobs that we have to offer them.
All right. I believe we are staying here for the beginning of the next question. Okay. This one's going to be quick. It's the title of the most recent book that you've read.
Women who work.
I don't recommend it. Enchanted Islands. I thought it was going to be a spy book about World War II spies. They ended up in the Galapagos. It's fairly dull. Sorry.
Nothing worse than a dry read, right? The summer reads are supposed to be juicy. All right, if elected, what one word best describes how you will engage your work?
It's going to be a few words. Colorado common sense.
I can live with that.
Tenacity.
All right, Ms. Jensen, let's talk about your role model. Who is it and why?
Oh, that's easy. It's my mom and dad, and sorry, it's two people. My dad grew up during the Great Depression and fought in World War II. His first combat experience was Battle of the Bulge. And it is that kind of work ethic that's been instilled in me. And my mother, who made me believe that I could be anything, do anything that I wanted to do. I've been amazingly blessed with the most incredible parents. I miss them every day.
All right, we'll ask the same question. Who is the role model for you and why?
Well, I think we're in a room of folks that have wonderful families. And my grandfather also served in the Battle of the Bulge. So my family, and my daughter is the 5th generation Colorado native, so I've got a lot of family around me, some of them even constituents, but yeah, my folks.
And we'll stay here. Do you support more restrictions on oil and gas?
I'm going to say that isn't a one-word answer.
Nothing about oil and gas is a one-word answer.
But it's a really important question that has a huge impact on a lot of folks. So what I would say is that I intend to continue when I get in the Senate to strike a balance between the rights of the communities to advocate for their health and safety and an industry that we depend on for our everyday lives. So that's what I will do when I get elected to the Senate.
All right, let's talk oil and gas briefly. Ms. Jensen?
Very briefly, 2,500-foot setbacks means a 1-mile radius. That will nearly eliminate the oil and gas industry in Colorado, high-paying primary jobs, and over $1 billion in tax revenue that goes to our schools, our municipal districts, and that's not an industry that we can afford to lose. As I meet with oil and gas executives, they agree that the requirements on their industry are strong, and they are in favor of continuing to keep the requirements strong and to keep the health and safety standards high and to continue to innovate ways to make their industry safer and stronger.
Ladies, thank you so much for coming here, and then we'll do 90 seconds of closing remarks in just a few moments. All right. District 20. Thank you very much. All right, next up, we're going to move to House District 27, Vicki Pine and Brianna Titone. Vicki's going to win the timing award. Literally put her purse down right as I was announcing. Welcome. Thanks again. All right, so we are going alphabetically. That means Vicki will get the first question here. And as you prepare your notes and get things pulled out, I'll read it aloud for the audience benefit. The sales and use tax system in the state of Colorado is perhaps the most complex in the country. Compliance often adds significant cost and effort to businesses, especially small businesses. What would you do to simplify the sales use tax system?
It is a complicated question, and we're a sole proprietor. We have a dental practice, and so we don't have it to the same level that many of the small businesses do. But I think we need to take a look at ways to simplify things for our businesses so that we can help people grow their businesses and have an opportunity to pay employees and meet the other obligations that are in front of a small business owner. I think overcomplicating the sales tax and having where it's, if you're paying for taxes locally, and then you're having to figure out taxes for where the person is purchasing from, and you've got all of these complicated systems. It takes away from what a business person can do in their own work and in their own place. I think as as a self-employed person and recognizing all of the different issues that we have in trying to provide means for our employees, we're looking at being able to pay employees enough money to stay with us and to be engaged in what we're doing, and in health insurance and all these other things. So I think that we've got to do something that simplifies things for our people.
All right, we'll ask the same question to you, Brianna. The sales and use tax system in the state of Colorado obviously needs some work. What would you do to simplify the sales use tax system?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we do have a very complicated system, as most of you know. It's really set by the localities, and localities have a lot of different taxes for different things, so we can pay for things, and that's, you know, the freedom we have here in Colorado, that we have it at the local level. Tabor also allows a lot of places to put taxes on things so we can make up for a lot of the money we're not gaining. But as far as I know right now, we have an interim committee in the legislature that is working on this problem and working with the business community to figure out the best way to centralize the tax codes and make it easier for people to calculate those taxes and report those taxes. And I think that we'll have to see what that committee comes up with, and working with the business community, that's the best way to do that.
All right, and we'll stay here for the next one. Colorado is a great place to live. In fact, some say that we should hang out a no vacancy sign. As a matter of fact, it is happening. If you didn't see the news this week, there are stickers being placed on the placards as folks enter the state. However, we continue to hear of cases where school districts across Colorado, including our own, are having a hard time attracting and retaining effective educators and staff to work in these schools, specifically with Title I high needs populations. So what can be done to help Colorado schools keep our best and brightest educators and the support staff?
Yeah, and this is a question that a lot of people at the doors are talking about, is teacher pay. And teachers are professionals, and we're not paying them like professionals. They go to schools that are underfunded, they're not getting the resources that they need, they're providing a lot of the supplies that they need for their classes. And, you know, people that I talk to are teachers living with their parents, or they're, parents that have teachers living with them, and they are not able to afford their rent or their house. And how can a teacher who has trouble just meeting their financial needs actually do their job effectively at school? They're worried about their own life. They're stressed out about living in Colorado. They can't even live where they work. And we can't attract teachers that way. And if we keep turning teachers over, the quality of the teaching goes down. And we have to be able to get the teachers pay up so they will actually stick around.
All right. Same question to you, Ms. Pine. Great place to live. What can we do to keep the schools great and our best and brightest educators and their support staff at the schools?
So I have two teachers in my family. I've got two of my kids who just both completed master's degrees, and sorry about that. I have two teachers in my family. Both of my kids have completed master's degrees in education, and they are facing this issue. I have a son who lives in an apartment in Broomfield and works and teaches at Lakewood High School, and the cost of living is above and beyond his means, and so we help him with certain things. It is an issue. It is an issue that the money that is being spent right now is not reaching the classroom and it's not reaching the teachers. I think one of the things that would help in this would be allowing more choice and allowing. We've got to get the funding to the teachers. We've got to get the power in the classrooms to the teachers. We've got to make the teachers feel valuable and like they're a part of what's happening in their classroom, and that they're not being overly administrated, so that they can actually do the job that they have been hired to do. They need to be given the autonomy that they need.
Okay, stay there because you get the next question, which is the final of our longer format, and then we'll get into a fire round where you guys will have about 30 seconds for each answer. This one is, how would you implement oversight and cost-saving measures to ensure efficient use of state dollars toward transportation?
Okay. So,
how would you implement oversight and cost-saving measures to ensure that we're efficiently using state dollars toward transportation?
I think the transportation issue is a big one, and if we're talking to people right now, it used to be that education was always the number one thing that we would talk about, and now it's kind of moved to transportation. We have got to fix our infrastructure. I think we need to reevaluate our budgets, and we need to look at where the money is being spent. I think we need to reprioritize our spending a little bit and not continue going back to the taxpayer for sales tax increases and all of those kinds of things that seem to be the first answer to resolving the problem. I think we need to look at our budgets, we need to prioritize, we need to get the spending where it needs to be, and then look at other projects after we've done what's most important as government.
Okay, we're on to the fire round now, and we will move.
Don't I get to answer that?
Oh, wait, you're right. See how fast? All right. How would you implement oversight and cost-saving measures to ensure efficient use of state taxpayer dollars, towards transportation?
I mean, I would like to get out of answering some questions, but, I think it's only fair. A lot of the transportation funding things happen locally, and money is given out to the localities to make those decisions, and the priorities are made by the localities. So, money that is given out by the state, which isn't that much, the money's kind of divvied up a little bit differently than just the legislator giving the money out. But the localities get to choose those priority projects, and I think Arvada is doing a pretty good job at that with the initiatives they have coming up with fixing 72 and Ralston Road. I think those are pretty big bottlenecks. But there has to be some accountability. The legislation can provide some of that, but we need to make sure that the money that's going to the municipalities to handle these issues are looked at objectively with the idea of growth in mind, and making sure that our new projects are stopping. Thanks.
It's all right. I'm just happy you got to answer the question. I apologize for that. Thank you for that. All right, we will start with you with the fire round. Less than 3 sentences, so tighten it up quite a bit if you wouldn't mind, both. Share the top 3 challenges you believe Colorado is currently facing.
Yeah, the challenges I see are ones that I hear about at the door: education funding and teacher pay. Big problem. Also, the transportation funding, making sure that our roads are adequate and pothole-free would be really nice. And also, people are struggling with healthcare costs, businesses and individuals alike.
Same question. 3 challenges Colorado broadly is facing.
Okay, so I agree. It's transportation, education, and health insurance.
Okay, we'll stay with you for the business community. 3 sentences to share the top 3 challenges impacting our business community.
I'm going to go back again with health insurance, regulation, and the need to continue to battle the government stepping in and telling us what our benefits are for our employees, and then just the taxing and the issues with sales tax and all the complications of how it's regulated.
Okay. We'll go with the business community this time.
Yeah, also the lack of a trained workforce. We have really good work numbers, less unemployment, so there's less people available. Also, the complex tax codes really need to be worked on for businesses, and healthcare costs as well.
Okay. Let's talk about books. Title of the book that you just read?
Tabor and Direct Democracy. I'm reading up. I want to be knowledgeable.
Okay, we had a dry read earlier,
Yeah.
But wow.
Mine's more about how to win a campaign in 30 days, but.
Right. So from books, we'll talk about the word that best describes how you will engage your work.
Energetically and enthusiastically.
Okay.
Collaboratively.
Collaboratively, okay. Let's talk role models. Who's your role model and why?
I'm going to say my dad. He was retired from the FBI, but when he still has his nameplate in Washington, D.C. as one of the top shooters. He When we went to Japan, he worked in the American Embassy there, and my dad was an example to me because in his job, he had budgets to use, and he never spent a dime over what he had to. So he was a role model in that.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, I would have to say my grandfather, he was an immigrant from Sicily, came over with really nothing, and he succeeded in building a big business and taught me a lot about leadership and responsibility and being a good member of my community.
All right. Do you support more restrictions on the oil and gas industry? Simple yes or no. More?
We need more safety regulations for people, and we need to work on phasing out oil in favor of renewable energy.
The question is, do I support more
Do you
restrictions?
support more restrictions on the oil and gas industry?
No.
Okay. Thank you both. We appreciate everyone's perspectives on this. We're going to head back over, and in just a few moments, you'll have an opportunity for a 90-second closing statement. Thank you very much. Thank you. Vicki Pine and Brianna Titone. I'm now going to invite candidates up to provide closing remarks in the reverse order from the opening remarks. Each candidate, 90 seconds to share their final thoughts. And starting us off would have been Grady, but he is unable to join us tonight, or this morning, excuse me. So Tracy Kraft Tharp will come back up and provide a 90-second closing remark.
So thank you, Chamber. Thank you, Government Affairs Committee. Really appreciate the opportunity to be able to do this. Again, thank you very much to my mom and dad who came here from Minnesota to be able to help me out. So I'm Tracy Kraft Tharp. I'm running for my 4th term. Where does time go? I mean, it is stunning that, that the time has gone by this fast. So should I be reelected, this will be my last term due to term limits. So I am asking to be able to go back. Since I've been in the legislature, I've served in a leadership role representing the business community. Ed Seelever with the Denver Business Journal has said over and over again, Tracy Kraft Tharp is a strong representative for the business community. And I've been able to represent you all through my role as chair of the Business Affairs and Labor Committee, through my role as chair of the Sales and Use Task Streamlining Committee, which I wish I would have gotten that question, and chair of the Audit Committee. So I really have taken a leadership role at the Capitol. What will I do? Should I be privileged to be able to go back? 3 things. Continue to work on economic development. Colorado is one of the top economic activity states in the country. 2, workforce development. We've heard the need for the shortage of labor, and I've been able to take a leadership in workforce development. And 3, access to mental health care. I just want to say before I get kicked off here, it's been a true honor and a true privilege for me to be able to serve you all. It's not something I ever would have anticipated in my life, but I absolutely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate it. I'm Tracy Kraft Tharp. I am running for re-election for State Representative in House District 29. Thank you.
I want to thank Tracy and all the candidates for not following the Washington, D.C. model, which is answer the question they wish you had asked. You all have been great in answering the questions that we have provided. Next up, we're going to move to Senate District 20 and Christine Jensen.
Well, I want to thank Representative Danielson, the Arvada Chamber of Commerce, the Government Affairs Committee, my friends, for hosting this event today, for welcoming us all back. It really has been an amazing event this morning. You know, having formerly served as this organization's chairman and the current work that we've done on the Government Affairs Committee, it's important that we remember to put partisan politics aside to achieve actual results. I want to continue the service that I've had to this community for many years now. as your senator in State Senate District 20. You see, I'm not in this race for myself. I'm in it for you, for our children, for the businesses and families that we are here to serve in Colorado. If you like what you heard today, I encourage you to go to christineforcolorado.org. There you will see my position statements on a lot of issues, and you're going to see updates over and over again for the endorsements that are coming in like crazy for the work that we've been doing. We've received the endorsement of the Colorado Association of Commerce and Industry, Arvada Mayor Mark Williams, Colorado Medical Society, and we've got a few more that we've heard are coming in the next few days, and we're super proud of the work that we've been doing. I want to make sure that Jefferson County remains a great place to live and work. My name is Christine Jensen, and I want your support for Colorado State Senate District 20. Thank you.
Staying in Senate District 20, we'll invite Jesse Danielson back to the stage.
Thanks to everybody in the Arvada Chamber and for having this event today, and to our wonderful moderator for doing a fabulous job. My name's Jesse Danielson. I'm the Speaker Pro Tem of the House of Representatives, and I'm running for Senate District 20. I have a proven record of fighting for Jefferson County families. I've stood up for senior citizens. I've stood up for veterans. I've fought for equal pay for equal work. I've fought to protect our beautiful Colorado environment, and so much more during my time serving as your state representative. This is an incredible community that deserves someone who's going to get in there and get things done. Work ethic, honesty are important traits to me. And I know that I share your values and will go to work every day to make sure that this Colorado mom is out working for so many other Colorado moms and dads to make sure that Jefferson County has the representation it needs to give your families a fair shot at a good economy, good paying jobs, and an excellent Colorado public education. My name's Jesse Danielson, and I look forward to serving you again as your state senator. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's move to House District 27, and Brianna Titone will provide the first closing remark.
Well, thank you for this opportunity again. I really appreciate you having me here. My name is Brianna Titone. I'm running for House District 27. And I have had a lifelong commitment to my community. As a volunteer firefighter, as the HOA president and board member for 7 years, and as a member of NecroSearch International, helping law enforcement solve cases and find evidence. I also have a degree in information communication technology from DU, and I'm finishing that up right now. This is the last week. So I want to work on net neutrality and making sure that communities have affordable and competitive internet, and that businesses don't get squeezed by internet service providers, throttling them back and preventing competition. I think that we also really need to work on the labor portion and getting more apprenticeship programs. I'd like to work with the labor unions in that respect to get a lot of these apprenticeship programs running. But really what I want to do is, and I've been doing this at the doors, I'm listening to people and I'm telling them that their stories are important and that their experiences are important. And I want to bring that into the Capitol to help solve our complex problems, because I don't have all the answers, but a lot of you guys help with that and bring that knowledge and information with me and my experience and knowledge to solve those complex problems. So thank you very much. Brianna Titone for House District 27. Thank you.
And our final candidate, Vicki Pine from House District 27.
want to thank you for having me here and for the opportunity to be able to participate in the event that has been hosted by the Chamber. It's great, and I just want to say thank you for your patience. Everybody else is doing the marathon, and I've done a half marathon before, and sprinting is really, kind of not my area, but that's what I'm doing. And this morning I had to be in multiple places at one time, and so I really appreciate the opportunity to stand up here and kind of do an introduction and a closure at the same time. I'm currently serving on the Arvada Parks and Recreation District Board. Proud of the projects that we're doing there. I've been a member of the community for over 25 years, and in Jefferson County for over 30 years. I love my community. I enjoy serving. This isn't about an opportunity to make a name for myself. This is because I really, truly have a belief that I need to serve my community, excuse me, and participate in whatever way I can to represent my neighbors and my family and my friends, so that we have a place that we can be proud of and call home. I'm excited about the opportunity. I'm happy to meet with and talk with anybody. It's been very quick, and so I'm scheduling very quickly, but I would love to have an opportunity to sit down with anybody and talk about what is bothering you and what is making you happy, and ideas and things that you have that might be solutions, because I think what it takes is all of us coming together as a community to solve the issues that are important to us. And it's not about me and my personal experiences. It's about all of us and all of our experiences, and I believe that we can come together and we can make our community great. And I'm really happy to have this opportunity to say hello and thank you, and please reach out to me. Thank you.
We want to thank all of you for joining us today to learn more about our candidates. One more round of applause for all of the ladies who were able to join us, and Grady as well. On behalf of the Arvada Chamber, we really want to thank everyone for putting themselves out there. Running for office is no small task. We want to congratulate all of you on your decision to try and make a difference in our community.